you need to stop living within a dream. Stop living within a fantasy of an ideal life that you want to live and start coming to terms with reality. And this mainly stems from the fact of living a dream, pretty much, or living in the fantasy of a dream. And this statement goes out to me as well, because ultimately that will catch up to you. Ultimately, reality will catch up to you. And honestly, what I'm talking about is mainly the fact of living within a reality that isn't real, a fantasized reality. And this ultimately can be related to daydreaming or even just when you sleep and you have dreams. For example, for me, I know that when I go to sleep, honestly, I feel like it's the best time of the day. Sometimes I feel like I don't even want to wake up and face reality, right? Because some dreams just feel too perfect. Like, for example, I'm a person who can have amazing dreams. I don't know if it's a lucid dreaming or is it just like extremely vivid dreams, but these dreams feel so real at a scary level, to the point that when I wake up, it feels like I just lost something, or like it feels like when I wake up, it's like a tragedy in a sense. Like I was literally living a life and I died in a way, if I'm taking it to the most extreme way. And it's gotten to the point where I literally, the hardest part of the day is getting out of bed and coming to terms with my reality, my subpar reality compared to my dream world. And pretty much partially of my life has just became living this miserable reality, looking forward to hopping into a fantasy in which I get to escape this reality for a couple hours or however long that I'm asleep. And ultimately, this is not the best way to live, and you should avoid this because living your reality and maximizing your reality is living. I'm going to clarify that a little bit. We want to live in the ideal, correct? We want to live a life that is not only worth living but feels good to live. And ultimately when that life is lackluster and fails to provide us that necessary means of dopamine that life normally should, we look for other outlets. Now, those outlets can either be exogenous drugs in that sense, or some sort of dopamine attraction that you can grab on, anything that can help you distract you from your reality. In this case, it's dreams, right? You need to focus on reality more. And the dangers of this is that you start living in your mind more than you're living reality. You start to focus more on something that literally is not real than your general life. And as I see that from my life, is that I literally begin to feel like I'm just walking around like a zombie. You know, all day I spend doing work, schoolwork, whatever I have to do. Then with those minimal 4, 5, 6 hours of sleep that I get, I then get to romanticize this ideal life. And it's not like I'm in control of these dreams. It's like they happen and then I'm sad that they're gone, right? And like the brain is psychologically different in terms of dreams because dreams aren't even properly well studied, right? Why they happen. Some people, like some scientists, suggest that they happen because your brain is just recovering and it's reciting information that it's retained throughout the day, week, or so on. But I think it goes deeper than that. Sometimes dreams reflect our deepest desires, what we truly yearn for the most. And it could also be a brain's coping mechanism to deal with reality. But the reason why we shouldn't be coping with dealing with reality is because life is extremely short. I mean, we take for granted the minimal things that we get to experience every day. And that is a very redundant statement that's been overstated over and over again. But we seriously do not take it face value enough. Today, I went onto my feed and I saw out of nowhere, like literally out of nowhere, that a pretty popular creator had died, right? And obviously, I didn't know this person in real life, but it almost was like a wake up call to me. The concept of death is very nuanced in my perspective because it's something that I haven't experienced. I don't fear death necessarily, but At the same time, I ponder about it on at an unhealthy amount because it's something that is extraterrestrial in a sense. You don't know what it is. And in this situation, when you just kind of wake up and boom, a person you saw on your For You page constantly, had this great energy, sense of humor is just gone. It almost kind of wakes you up, like splashes you with a cold tub of water, like, hey, wake up. This reality that you're experiencing can be taken away from you in an instant. It's not guaranteed. Life is not guaranteed whatsoever. And personally, I have faced a somewhat uh certain death kind of situation. In that kind of situation, it really is real in the moment, because even those people who romanticize the idea of death, they may think that at the time, but necessarily they don't necessarily like mean it because the mind's true need and what's the best way of wording it? The mind's true goal is to keep you alive, right? So when someone is suicidal, right? I don't know if I can even say that word, and maybe I might get demonetized. But if someone's suicidal in a way, it's not that they necessarily want to die. It's more of that they're tired living a life that is lackluster. And so they dive within a reality that does not exist, a reality that suffices and awakens the ideal that they want to live out. It awakens an ideal world, an ideal life that they want to live. But it's but in doing so, they escape reality and they avoid reality until reality catches up. Let's say they try to escape reality completely and they make a mistake, and I call, like, I don't know if I can say this on here, but committing, right? I call that a mistake because no one necessarily wants to die. It's like one of those things that people say but they don't necessarily mean. And you're seeing this a lot because in a lot of committing attempts, people in the last minute decide they don't want to do it because they realize that, oh shoot, death is like the end. And death is like this scary thing because you don't know what happens. It's completely psychological. It happens within your head. It only happens to you. And when you die, the world keeps moving. And with this message, I tell you that you should escape that idea of wanting to live within your mind because your mind is purely just neurons. It's simply just neurons firing, creating images within your head, compilation of several memories, and so on, when there's a literal life that you have ahead of you. And that life isn't guaranteed. You could die today, you could die tomorrow, you could die in 10 years. But ultimately, the goal of life is to experience, and you can't experience life if you're stuck in your head. You must be willing to be awake to life, but also learn the idea of content because a lot of people don't possess content, and because of that, their lives are miserable. So, the concept of content means that to be okay with whatever situation that you're in any time during life. If you don't possess contentment, people that usually don't possess contentment have a sense of maybe envy or greed. They want more. It's never enough. And that's human instinct, right? Humans naturally want more. It's never enough. And this breeds insecurities, it breeds hate, it literally breeds hate within someone's heart towards themselves. It breeds resentment towards themselves and others, ultimately. And so, learning contentment, learning to be content with your situation, learning to be content with whatever you possess at your current time, and choosing to live and choosing to move on anyways. That is how you can truly live a fulfillful life. Because ultimately, the goal of life isn't to be quote unquote successful, it isn't to own $1 million cars, although those are really nice things to possess in this life. Ultimately, the goal of life is to experience. I mean, if we're going back to religion and in the Bible, why did God create Adam, right? God created Adam, God created humans to hold dominion over the world, right? But and to multiply and to multiply numerously. But why would he do this? Do you think it was just like, oh, just procreate, so on? It's so humans could live, to experience this beautiful world that the Lord created or that was granted to us. Um, and ultimately, you can't experience this beautiful world if you're stuck in your head. But if you learn to be content with your life, if you learn to be content with reality, you won't need to escape to your dream world. You won't need to feel greed or envy towards another person. And I've felt this too. I've felt it in sometimes in situations where I've been in my life. I've felt it about my own body, my height, whatever it is. But then you see other people who may have less but yet seem more happy, and they question why. It's like, and I question why. It's like, why is he more happy? He has less than me because he's learned to be content with his situation. And sometimes people make you want to feel bad about yourself. When some people have more than you, they look down at you and they're like, look, you have less. You should feel worse because I already feel bad about myself. Don't let other people's energy affect your own energy. You know what I mean? Don't let other people's negativity spread to you. You need to learn to be at peace with reality, and that's not an easy task because humanity also holds negatives. But to be a human, to be a good person, to even just want to live a good life, you must learn to just have a carefree almost attitude approaching everything. Obviously, ambition is good. Obviously, wanting to improve is good. Obviously, wanting to do things with your life is good. That's part of the experience. But you shouldn't hold that aspect of experience as the entire journey because ultimately, the entire journey is just you. Even if you don't achieve much in this life, as long as you got to live and experience it, that's all that matters. And lastly, I'll leave it off on the fact that the chances of you even living, the chances of you even watching this video are extremely low because the chances of you even born, I forgot the number, but it's something in like the trillions or quadrillions, something crazy like that. The chances of you watching this video are of quite literally should be impossible, but yet you're watching it anyways. And that alone is amazing because it means that you're experiencing reality. And whatever takeaway you get from this video is your own interpretation. But ultimately, as long as you're experiencing this reality, as long as you're interpreting it, and instead of escaping into an imaginary world that does not exist, an ideal that is flawed because it is rooted in human desire, then you're at least doing something right. Thank you for watching.